What's one of your funnier Dan Campbell stories or examples that you have from him being your head coach?
Just stopped everything and just started playing some music. It was a lot of old school throwback songs, that he listened to back in the day. But one of the second song was what was "F You Mean" by Gunna, and we were all like, "No way, he's playing this right now."
Yo, I'm Robert Griffin III, and this is RG3 and The Ones, a Way Sports and Entertainment original presented by PrizePicks. On this show, we interview the ones at the top of the game and the ones that know the game. And we hope that you can take one thing from this show, apply it to your own life, and become the one in that bad boy too. I'm just the one that just watched the greatest UFC pay-per-view ever live, seeing Max Holloway and Alex Pereira come up with badass knockouts. I mean, it was incredible. Watching it at home is fun, but in person, it's a whole nother experience. But before we go further into this episode, I'm gonna need you guys to go ahead and like, subscribe to our YouTube page. Make sure you follow us on social media at RG3 and The Ones, and be ready for us to drop new episodes every single Thursday. And oh yeah, you can also get us wherever you listen to your podcasts as well. All right, coming up on this episode, I'm talking to the one who dyed his hair blue. I'm talking about the two-time Pro Bowler, one of the most versatile receivers in all of the NFL, the man, the myth, the legend, the one and only Amon-Ra St. Brown. Welcome to the show, brother.
What's up, man? How you doing? Appreciate you having me.
I'm doing good. I think the last time we saw each other was at the Pro Bowl. You know, you're out there doing your thing, playing dodgeball and all that. But I found it interesting that you speak 3 different languages, and it's apparent because the DBs don't know what your game be talking about on the field. But I also speak the three different languages. You know, it's English, Ebonics, a little bit of Japanese, dabbling in Portuguese a little bit on Twitter. How often do you use those 3 different languages?
So actually, my mom is from Germany, so German was like my first language. I only speak German to her. And so even so to this day, we speak German to each other. So that's always back and forth when I'm talking to her. And then I went to a French school growing up. So it was from kindergarten to 6th grade. It was like an all-immersive French school out here in California, and did that till 6th grade. And that's when it stopped. Then went to, regular elementary school, and then did the whole high school thing, whatever. But while we were in 3rd grade, my dad sent me and my brothers to Paris to go to school out there. So went to school in Paris when I was in 3rd grade for like half a year, which was super fun. If you haven't been to Paris, I suggest you go. It's one of the, I think it might not be the nicest, like for the eye, but just everything together, the history behind it, it's beautiful.
Nah, very cultural. And obviously you've got versatility in your lingo. You've got versatility in where you were off the field, and you've got versatility on the field as well. So I called you a Where's Waldo type of player for the past few years, because you line up at wide receiver, in the slot, in the backfield, in the wing of the tight end, going into block. What do you attribute all that versatility from in your game?
It's a good question. I feel like, we just do so many different things in Detroit with our offense. Obviously, I'm able to do a lot of different things, but just the way we use our players, I think Coach Johnson, our offensive coordinator, does a great job of putting guys in positions to make plays, putting guys in spots where they do things well. And I think, he has a knack for that. He's one of the, since I've been in the league, the amount that I played football in college, one of the brighter minds that I've been around. I love being able to go out there and execute the stuff that he has in the game plan, because every week it's something else. It's always super fun. So he does a great job moving us around.
Nah, he really does. And you had some pretty exciting words when he decided to come back and continue to be you guys' offensive coordinator. How excited are you to have Ben Johnson back?
I'm super excited. I thought for sure he was going to be gone after this last year that we had. I was preparing for it, bracing for it, and sure enough, he stayed. So I know all the guys on offense are happy. Shoot, even the guys on defense, because we were putting up some points last year. So we're all excited to have him back. I can't wait to get back to work and start this season.
Yeah, and you talk about him putting you in position to be the best player you can be, and obviously to succeed. But if I look back at the draft, your draft in particular, there were a lot of pundits out there who said, hey, he's a 2nd, 3rd, 4th round guy, going to be a 2nd string wide receiver, not going to be able to amount to what you have amounted to in your career so far. Just how did that motivate you? And do you still remember all the guys that were drafted before you?
Yeah, definitely. I remember all of them. The draft analysts, the draft experts, they all have their opinions. That's their job. That's how they make their money. They love to look at the combine and all that stuff, how fast you can run, how high you can jump. But for me, I know a lot of the guys, even in this league, that we feel like the combine and pro days are just, there's so much hype that goes into them when really most of it's in the film. That's just the combines, the pro day is just reassurance on whatever you thought the film might show. But most of it, I think 85% of it is all in the tape, all in the work that you've done all year, the sport that you're actually playing. So that's the way I look at it. And like I said, everyone has a job nowadays, media, draft experts, GMs, whatever it is. Everyone thinks they know the right pick. And at the end of the year, it's always someone that went slipping or this, that, and the other went first round, probably shouldn't have. So, it is what it is. I'm glad it happened the way it did for me. I wouldn't change it for the world, but yeah, we're here now.
Yeah, Amon-Ra, on this show, we keep it real. So you just said something that sparked a thought in my mind. And the fact is that the combine and really the entire offseason draft process is all about hype and money. That's really all it is. Right. If you can create enough hype around yourself and you have the tape to back it up, then it's going to force teams to have to draft you earlier because other teams are going to want you as well. But I always say there's players like yourself who don't get drafted where they probably should have been drafted and their careers benefit from it. And then the GMs who select them look like geniuses. Just what's your feeling on that whole hype train and the money? Because it's money for the NFL, and money is going to rule all for sure in what they try to do and what they don't want to do.
Right. You're 100% right. GMs, like you said, they look like experts. There are some really, really good GMs in this league.
Yes.
An example, Brad Holmes. He picked me, so that's my guy. I think you go look at his past 3 drafts, he's been killing it. So I can't wait to see what he does this year. But like you said, everyone has a job to do. I feel like even now, just sitting back watching the combine every year, I feel like these 40 times are getting faster and faster every year. It's like there's no way every year dudes are getting that much faster. There has to be something behind it, like TV, they want more ratings. I don't know what it is, but every year dudes are getting faster, jumping high, whatever it is. So it's funny to see, sitting back and watch, but I'm glad for those young guys coming up to, live out their dreams.
So if you could put on your mentor hat right now and you're talking to the young wide receivers that maybe don't go in the first round, maybe don't go in the second round, what would your advice be to them going through this process?
Don't get your hopes up too high for the draft. I feel like I tell everyone the top 10 picks have probably the best draft experience. The rest have probably some of the worst. Even the guys that go late in the first round, they still got to wait however many hours it is. Second round, third round, fourth round, fifth round, sixth, seventh round. I know it's super long. So whatever happens, man, let it happen, let it be, because you can't really change the outcome of where you go, who drafts you, whatever. But for me, it was like when I got there, I knew I was going to make the most of my opportunities. I wasn't going to let any opportunity slip from me. If I got, a rep with the ones, a rep with the twos, a ball thrown my way, I was going to make the catch. In the run game, I was going to block. I was going to make sure I find a way to get on that field. And then once I got on the field, it was just a time for me to, if they throw me a ball, I got to make the catch.
Right.
If I break a tackle, I got to keep going, score, whatever it is, have no mental errors, stay on my playbook, whatever it was. And that's what I did. I always tell myself when I do get my shot, I'm going to be ready. And sure enough, I was. And for me, it's cream always rises to the top. I don't care if you go first pick or if you go last pick, or anywhere in between. At the end of the day, the cream is always going to rise to the top. So that would be my word of advice.
No doubt about it. And they might as well have your nickname be Cream, because you've certainly been rising, my brother. And
Appreciate it.
You talk about, the draft process and getting through it and going into Detroit, but you also got drafted the same year that Jared Goff ended up getting traded to the Lions. Just what's that process been like, you two guys growing together and building that chemistry?
Yeah, it's been awesome. I remember getting drafted to Detroit. I was upset because of where I got picked and whatever. And then I got drafted, I talked to the GM, head coach, whatever, hung up the phone, congratulated my family. They all said, congrats on being drafted, whatever. And then 15 minutes later, I get a text from Jared saying, this isn't, quote unquote, exactly what he said. But it was something like, "What's up, brother? Welcome to the squad. Can't wait to get to work. You're going to be a big part of this offense moving forward." And I'll never forget that text. A few other guys texted me too on the team, but I thought it was really cool how he reached out to me right away. We actually, he got a bunch of the guys together. Before I even went to Detroit, we threw in California with a lot of the receivers, running backs, some of the tight ends. They all came out and we threw. So before I even went to Detroit, we had already thrown in California. This was before my rookie year even started. And so he's always been a great, leader for the whole team, obviously, but man, he looks out for everyone on the team, which I really appreciate. He didn't have to reach out to me. He didn't have to invite me to that workout, whatever it was, but he felt like, to have everyone there and build that chemistry as early as we can. And that rookie year didn't go how we wanted. Obviously, we only won 3 games, but I think just, having everyone around, the same coaching staff, Coach Campbell, all the people together, like you said, me and Jared, we kind of came in together to that situation. A bunch of us that are still there came in together that year. And so to see where we were then, to look at us now, the process is amazing. It's always dope to look back and see how far we've come, but we still got a lot of work. Still got a lot of work left to do.
Yes, but when you look at Jared Goff and what he's been able to do, he talked recently about how he was sent to Detroit to basically die. Like his career is supposed to be over, but he fought back with guys like yourself, helping him not just build himself back up, but build the city of Detroit and that team back up to prominence, really go places you guys haven't ever really been. So when it comes to him and his contract right now and the talks about him making however much money per year, why is it that in your mind, Jared Goff is worth 45, 50, 55 million per year as a starting quarterback?
I mean, for me, first of all, I think as his receiver, he does things out on the field that, I'm used to it because I've only played with him my whole career. I've been lucky enough to have one quarterback. But he's, accurate, commands the offense, all the stuff you want in a quarterback. But then you look at the Detroit Lions history. When's the last time we weren't, this deep in the playoffs, won this many games? When we first got there, like I said, we only won 3 games. So to see what he's done with this Detroit football team from, 2 years ago or 3 years ago to now, he's winning games. I think winning is a big part of this, of this sport, especially for a quarterback. So, and that's what he's doing. He's winning games. And you go look at his stats too. They're up there with some of the best quarterbacks in the league. So he's worth every dollar that he gets. And I can't wait for him, for him to get paid and be a part of this future for a long time.
Yeah, you talk about the stats, and I'm not the biggest stat guy in the world because I do believe that stats are like bikinis. They show you a little, but they don't show you everything. You know what I mean? Or should I say they show you a lot, but they don't show you everything. But the stats about Jared do show you a lot. Obviously, second in the league in passing yards last year, top 5 quarterback off of play action. How does it make you feel as his teammate when you hear people label him as a game manager?
I'm not a quarterback, so it's a little different. I know quarterbacks have their own, mindset or their own thing. They understand everything about the quarterback position. They see it all. But for me to be, to see that people say that about him, I kind of feel for him just because, I feel like people say things about me that I can't do. I'm only this, I'm only that. And I think for Jared, it just motivates him. And I think, he also has a little chip on his shoulder as much as people might not believe it. I feel like his whole career he's had a chip on his shoulder and he still has one to this day. And that's kind of what fuels him to keep going and keep trying to prove people wrong. But, I know I don't really trip off it too much. I don't know how much he does if people call him that. But, you go look, a game manager made it to the NFC Championship. A game manager did everything that he's done in the last 3 years. So I think, him being a game manager, he's doing just fine.
Nah, he's doing great. And I want you to know, I am not a closet hater. Okay. I ain't going to ask you a question that I have said something about. I don't think Jared's a game manager. I've been on record saying I don't think he's a game manager. So I feel for him. So I can only imagine how some of his teammates feel when they hear those things said about him. I do think he is a guy that helped you guys have extreme success. Obviously, he's feeding you the rock. So you got nothing to complain about. And having him feed you the rock and win games is always a positive. But also this year, we've seen a lot of wide receivers get paid big money, whether it be Calvin Ridley. Obviously, just yesterday, I believe it was Devontae Smith, or a couple of days ago, Devontae Smith got paid by the Eagles. When you look at that and you understand the contract situation that you're in, some people say that receivers are making too much money right now. I am not one of those people, but what would your answer be to people who are saying that, man, the receiver market is blown up and these guys are making too much now?
Nah, I definitely don't agree with that. I'd be a fool to agree with that. But no, I think, we do a lot of things on the field. We actually got the Netflix thing coming out. So I think that's going to give a lot of people insight of, what we actually do besides catching the ball on the football field, whether it's in the run game, understanding different concepts, whatever it is. There's so much that goes into the receiver position, but I feel like, no, we're definitely not overpaid. I think we, bring great value to football teams. I think this league is becoming more of a passing game. You watch that Super Bowl towards the end of the game. I mean, Mahomes goes on the whole field, I think, damn near passing every play.
Yeah.
So throwing is so big in this game. It's becoming a passing league. There's so many rules that protect quarterbacks, protect receivers that are, why not? Why would you not want to throw it if there's so many rules to help us, be successful throwing the ball? So there's so many things that go into it. We make plays. We sell jerseys. We, whatever it is, fantasy, whatever it is, there's so much that goes into it. The receiver position there's a reason why I chose to play receiver.
Hey, Amon-Ra, you just hit the nail on the head right there. It's everything you just said is exactly why I could honestly make the claim that you guys are underpaid. We see so many quarterbacks now have success.
There you go. I like you.
There you go. See, I'm on your side. I'm on your side.
Yeah.
Guys in the NFL, the quarterback spot now are having 1 and 2 number one receivers, a number one tight end. You're seeing teams start to build these teams around that way, especially with what Philly has done with both A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and Dallas Goedert. So I think the value has increased because the way the teams are being built and because of the rules, like you stated so eloquently. Are you breaking any news today, though? You gonna break any news on the show that you signed your contract?
Nah, no news. Not yet.
I'm gonna be excited for you when that happens. RG3 and The Ones is presented by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the most fun I've had, winning up to 25 times my money this year, and I'm having a blast, y'all. It's been super simple. You select 2 or more players, pick more or less on their projected stats, and place your entry. You can now win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. What? 4? Okay. You could turn $10 into $1,000 with basketball, hockey, college basketball, or any of those entries today on PrizePicks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. Get in on the playoff action and win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks as you and the world's best players take the game to new levels during basketball postseason. PrizePicks even offers injury insurance so that your entries stay in play even if one of your players gets injured. PrizePicks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with an injury insurance policy. Well, guess what, guys? This week, let's get into some basketball picks. And I'm going to go ahead and start off by selecting Chef Curry. All right. We're going to go with Steph Curry having more than 43.5. Ooh, what is that? Hold on one second. Is that a fantasy score? Okay. This week, let's get into some more basketball picks. This week, I'm going to be selecting the one and only Chef Curry. That's right. Stephen Curry is going to have a fantasy score of more than 43.5. And I'm also going to go ahead and select Anthony Davis to have more than 24.5 points. This one is going to be a blast. So those are my picks. Daily Fantasy Sports is made easy with PrizePicks. Make sure you download the app today and use code RG3 for a first deposit match of up to $100. Again, download the app today and use code RG3 for a first deposit match of up to $100. Let's go get this money, y'all. Going into this next season, you guys are no longer, or should I say, to some people, you're no longer the hunter, you're the hunted. How have you guys adjusted to that? Has there been any talks in the locker room about keeping that same intensity and mentality to where you guys can, as Coach Campbell said, go bite kneecaps off and not get complacent?
Yeah, I think, what I remember vividly is after the NFC Championship, we get in the locker room, we're all devastated, whatever it is. And, Coach Campbell told us, we might not ever be here again. And that's the reality of it is, this league is tough. Some guys go to one Super Bowl and that's it. They lose it and they never sniff it again. Some guys are lucky enough to go again and maybe win it. But for the most part, guys get there and they don't get there again. So he told us that after the locker room, and kind of hit home for me is what that really means is it's only going to get harder for us. We got this far. We got that far last year. People understand going into this year that, we're not the old Lions. We're not the, sit down and you go, run over us, whatever it is, beat us down. We're going to have a target on our back. And I feel like everyone on the team understands that. So just going into this off season, going into the training camp, to the season, preseason, whatever it is, Coach Campbell he's great. He's one of the finest leaders I've been around.
Yep.
So I know he's going to make sure he emphasizes that to us all off season going into the year. And I think we'll be ready. Obviously, it's not going to be as easy or whatever it was for us last year. It's going to be harder. So we understand that, but we're up for the challenge.
Nah, I mean, I saw the speech that you're talking about from Coach Campbell, and a lot of people were laughing, when he had his opening press conference, and he was talking about the mentality that you guys are going to have as a team. And yeah, it didn't go great that first year, but you guys are exactly where you need to be. And I feel like that culture that he's built there is really what keeps sustaining you guys. You said he's one of the best leaders you've ever been around. What's an example from your time there with him in Detroit that really exemplifies that type of leadership that he's brought to the team?
It's kind of hard it's a good question. It's kind of hard to put into words. For number one, I mean, he's the same guy every day. He's not a guy, certain guys you have a sense, you have that, you can sniff it out. He's acting. He's trying to do this for the team. He's trying to show like he's this type of guy, and then the next day he's that type of guy, whatever it is. He's the same guy every day, which I think every player on that team respects. He's playing this league, so he knows what it looks like. He knows what what it feels like after a hard game or during camp, whatever it is. So he understands what it's like to be a player, which is also a huge benefit for us, because sometimes it's hard to explain to other people that haven't played football what it's like to go through every day running, lifting, taking hits, and then having to do it again the next day. So he understands that part of it. He has a great way of relaying messages to us with his storytelling. He's able to tell stories and touch our hearts in ways that I feel like some people can't in his words.
Wow. No, that's awesome for you to kind of break it down that way. Some of the best leaders, Amon-Ra, that I've been around, they know when to be serious. They are the same guy every single day. One of the best coaches I had was in my last 3 years in Baltimore with John Harbaugh. Like, I knew what was going to be expected of me every single day. But another thing they also do is they lighten the mood when it's time to lighten the mood and have a good time. What's one of your funnier Dan Campbell stories or examples that you have from him being your head coach?
I have a few, but I don't think I have told this one. It was I think it was during the year, regular like Wednesday or Thursday meeting. He would just come up and talk about the opponent that we're going against, right? Show some clips of them, whatever it is. But this time he just stopped everything and just started playing some music. He played it was 7 different songs. And he's like, I'm the head coach. I can do what I want. So here we go. And he just starts playing different music. And it was a lot of old school throwback songs, that he listened to back in the day. But one of the second song was, what was it? Fuck You Mean by Gunna. And we were all like, no way he's playing this right now. So we were just like, we're all bobbing our head. And then the next song he played is I think it was maybe like a rock song. Okay. And after that, it was like an old school classic song. And so he had a bunch of different genres of music. And he just played that, and we were all just wondering what this is about. And then he broke it, and he's like, all right, special teams. And that was that. So it was just funny how he just changed the whole atmosphere of the team meeting. Because, when you get there, you're ready to him to talk about the team, whatever it is. Correct. Same thing every day. He just switched it up on us, and we were all like, now we're attentive. Now we're listening. We're trying to see why he's playing this music, whatever it was. But he just wanted to get us in different moods and have us feel the music.
Nah, that's awesome. And one thing that, at least from the outside looking in about Dan Campbell, is it feels like there's a next level intensity. Was there ever a moment when you're going through a practice or while you're there in Detroit where you're like, this guy's crazy? I don't know what he's asking us to do some crazy things.
I'm going to be honest. All I know is Detroit football. So training camp, we're hitting. A lot of people say they get there or they leave. And I said, dude, Detroit camps are way harder than some other teams. But this is all I know. So for me, hitting during camp, doing those tackling drills, whatever it is, I'm used to it. I don't mind it. I love competing, so I'm out there. I'm going to go do it every time. I mean, a lot of people say just that in itself is a lot different than most teams. But no, he definitely has snapped on us a few times during practice. But he doesn't do it too often. I wouldn't say even good about it. He just understands when the right time it is to do something, when he needs to say it, when he needs to get off his chest. And for the most part, we practice pretty hard, pretty well. And if there's anything he needs to address, he usually just says it after practice.
No, that's awesome. So basically what you're saying is that biting kneecaps off is in your blood now. You're just used to it. This is what you do. This is what you do with Dan Campbell.
I'm used to it.
You're a good trash talker. You remember everything that people say negative about you or what they said or guys that were drafted before you. Where did that come from? Was it your brothers? Was it your dad? Is it just, the demeanor that you have about yourself? Where did that come from?
I would say just for me, being the competitor that I am, I liked, I mean, you can say prove people wrong is one way, but for me, I like to prove myself right. I know who I am. I know what I can do. And, if I'm not given the opportunity, I can't really show anything. So
It's true.
until that's given, then that's my time to shine and show people what I can do. But for me, it's really just proving myself right, knowing who I am. And, others maybe not knowing and me introducing them to who I really am. So for me, that's really what it is. I'm just a huge competitor growing up, having two older brothers. That helped me a lot. Always trying to compete with them, trying to beat them, scratch and claw for every little win that I can because, they're naturally older, stronger, especially at a young age. That maturity gap is crazy. So I'm always, trying to race and play basketball one-on-one. My brother's like 6'3". I'm 5'8", trying to beat him. He's posting me down. I'm like, I have no shot, but I got to just try to keep pushing him and try to win. So just having those older brothers, having my dad, in my corner my whole life. He was super competitive too with his sport growing up. And he kind of instilled that into all of us. So just being around all that and being the type of guy I am today, it's just all, I don't forget things. So if people that say things about me, it's like a memory book. It's all stored in my head and it's things that I just don't forget.
Well, I'm glad you came on the show with us because we speak very highly of you. And I know if we didn't,
Appreciate
you wouldn't
it.
be here. So, you talk about, you mentioned earlier about the Netflix special. What can people expect? I know you can't talk too much about it, but what can people expect from your spot or your part of the Netflix special, wide receiver?
They did a great job of documenting, a lot of the stuff all year. I was mic'd up every game. So I think just getting an insight of what, our season was like with the Lions and more specifically my season. I had things that go on throughout the year that some people might not know of, my family, my background, just a bunch of things that's going to be, I think, awesome to show the world. Like I said, they did a great job of broadcasting or, recording, storytelling, everything, not everything, but a lot of things that I've done this past year. And we had a tremendous season, one of the best seasons in Lion history. So I think it was only right, only fitting. This was a great year to document, but no, I can't wait. And I can't wait to even see the other receivers on it.
That's going to be
Devontae,
awesome.
Justin, Debo, George. It's going to be awesome to see everyone. So I can't wait till they release it.
Now, I'm not going to lie. One moment I'm really looking forward to is that playoff game against the Rams. Obviously, so many storylines going into that one. You guys were able to win your first playoff game in 30 years at home. Matthew Stafford coming back to town, going up against the guy that he was traded for in Jared Goff. Just what was it like for you as a player, right, for the Detroit Lions, and also as a teammate for Jared Goff to see him be able to, actually experience it, right? Be able to make that throw and you make the catch to seal the game, to send the team that didn't want him packing. Just what was that moment like for you guys?
It was definitely for me a moment that I'll never forget. Even just going into that whole week, the hype, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it was up, it was lit because 3 weeks prior to that, or 2 weeks prior to even getting into that playoff week, it was like you might play the Rams, you might not. I remember watching the Rams versus Niners game, that last game of the season, and I wanted to play the Rams in the playoff just because of the whole storyline. I wanted Jared to be able to go play his old team, beat his old team.
Yep.
So I think the Rams won that game. And so if the Rams won, we played the Rams, whatever it was. And so I was cheering them on, ended up winning, and now we have the Rams in the playoffs. So I remember going into that week, everyone was hyping up the storyline between, Stafford coming back to Detroit, Jared playing his old team against the Rams. But Jared was kind of trying to quiet down, trying to say, it's about the team, it's not about me, which, I respect, I understand. As a quarterback of a team, you don't want to try to put all the focus and attention on yourself. It's about the whole team. But for me as a player looking at him, I'm like, nah, screw that. It is about the team, but it's about you too. Like they traded you. They wanted a guy, they thought Stafford was better. So they made that whole trade, sent you to Detroit with not much. So I felt for him, because I feel like I know what it's like to be in his position. And so for me, I was telling the media, what, it is about the team. He's right. But at the same time, I'm trying to win this game for him also. It's for us and for him because this is a huge game for him. I don't care if he's telling you the truth or not. I can tell you what it is. It's big for him. It's big for everyone, his whole family, the whole city of Detroit, everyone. So going into that game, I remember, walking out the tunnel. And usually for most of our games, it's, I would say there's like it's at like 20% capacity going out for warm-ups. I tell you, when I walked out this time, it was like 80%. The whole stadium was packed. They were cheering on. As I'm running out, I have my blue hair. They're cheering my name on as I usually run a lap around the field when I come out. They're cheering my name. And then I think Jared came out like when he came out with the pads on, it was like Jared Goff chants for like 5 minutes straight. Ooh. Super loud, crazy. And it was definitely one of the most lit games I've ever been a part of in my life. I didn't play in the SEC in college. I didn't do, Alabama. I didn't play at those schools, but I don't care what you say. In an NFL environment, that was probably one of the craziest games ever. And I think anyone can tell you that was there. I remember after the game, I caught that ball. We ended up winning. And he takes a knee. And the first thing I did was go up to Jared and hug him and tell him, man, you did it. Because I know how much it meant to him. And he's not, like I said, he's not going to tell everyone how he really feels, because that's not him. He's a team guy. He's going to make sure that the team is first, and that's what makes him such a great leader. But for me, like I said, as his teammate, as his receiver, I know that feeling that there's no way he wasn't super excited, and he was, and I was excited for him. Obviously for the city, but for him also.
Nah, it was a great moment, and you're a great teammate because not everybody would be so open about that, but it does mean something to you when you go play against a former team or someone that slighted you. And I'm happy that you guys were able to accomplish that. And the fans were there because they've been starving for this greatness, man. They've been starving for it, and I know that they're very happy that you're there in Detroit. Why do you love the Detroit Lions fans?
I would say for me, I grew up in California, so here I went to high school out here, but there's just so much to do out here. I went to USC, which, is 50 minutes from where I grew up in Orange County. But in LA, you got Hollywood, you got actors, you got musicians, you got the beach, you can drive an hour and go, skiing if you want. You got the Rams, you got the Lakers, the Dodgers, the Angels, the Chargers now. You name it. There's so many different sports teams in LA. There's so much to do in LA that, for the most part, these fans, if you're winning, I feel like they're going to be rocking with you. If you're losing, they're not really tripping. They got so many other things to do in LA that, they're not going to go catch a game. The team isn't good. So in Detroit, it was like my first year where we finished 3-13-1. The fans are at almost every game. There's not a game where I feel like the fans didn't show up to, didn't cheer us on. I barely heard any boos while I was my whole rookie year. Second year, we had, we started off 1-6. People are, obviously nature of the fans to talk crap, fire this guy. They're not doing this. They're not doing that. And then we ended up having, 9-8, and they're back behind us. They've been behind us the whole time, but they were with us, from the start. It's not like they left from the, 3-13-1 season. So I feel like in Detroit, the fans, they just rock with you no matter what. And that's something that I respect. There's no bandwagon fans. If you're winning, they're there. If you're losing, they're there. If it's a draw, they're there. So that's something that I really respect as a player, because, every season's different. You might have a winning season, you might have a losing season, but the way we're headed, man, the fans, they deserve it, especially with the way the Detroit sports history has gone. I'm super excited for the fans. I can't imagine being growing up a Detroit Lions fan and seeing what's happening now. It's probably, I'd be speechless, because I wasn't a Detroit Lions fan growing up, but I just remember the notion I had in my head about Detroit Lions football is they're garbage. They can't win. Right. If you're playing the Lions, that's an easy dub. So,
right.
Just to see how far we've come as a team, to see the fans so happy. I go out in Detroit, I go to restaurants, whatever it is, people come up to me all the time saying, man, you don't know. Obviously, they say thank you for the season, but you don't know what you've done for the city. Right. And the people of Detroit. The amount of people that tell me that is actually crazy. So that just tells me how much sports means to the city of Detroit and how much they love football.
Nah, man, that's awesome to hear you say that. And now you can say that you're a part of turning it around, which is a unbelievable thing. I had Calvin Johnson on the show. I know you've had Calvin Johnson on your show, and he believes that you can be the greatest receiver in Detroit Lions history. How does that make you feel when the greatest says that about you?
Man, that's I don't know if I can do that. That's I think he's the greatest, or definitely up the top two to ever play the game. So he's an awesome dude. Like you said, I had him on my show. He's, super open, super humble. That's something I really respect about him is, he's going to tell you exactly, how he feels and what it is, but he's super respectful and understands, how many other good players are in this league. But at the end of the day, that's Megatron. You can't, I don't care what you say. When I was a kid growing up, he was mossing dudes, doing things that no one else on that field could do. I see pictures on social media. There was a picture of him in the goal line, and there was literally 2 DBs guarding him. I haven't seen that since I've been playing the game. My last 3 years, I've been watching for a long time. 2 DBs on 1 receiver in the red zone is crazy. So, I mean, he's the best receiver in Lions history. So, to even come close to him would be an honor. But yeah, he's amazing.
Nah, he really is. What has Sam LaPorta meant for you guys in that offense?
Sam's a beast. He does. Coming in as a rookie, he was. You can tell he was still learning things, learning the offense, learning the play. But you can tell right away he had the talent. He had the ability, natural hands, great hands, catches almost everything, around his area. His catch radius is super long. He's tall. I think his run after the catch is also super underrated. He can make guys miss. He's strong after the catch, even, at the point of the catch. He can block in the run game, which is something that, we value in our offense is guys that can block, whether you're tight. If you're not a quarterback, you got to block. And that's something that we really value, and he does that. He's great in the run game. He's selfless. He's there for the team, whatever it is. So great personality, great teammate, locker room. He's a funny guy. I love kicking it with Sam. So he's definitely a big part of our offense. I think, part of the reason why we were able to do so many things last year on offense and really, take that next step to where we were 2 years before that. So Sam's amazing. I think he's one of the best in this league, and his best is definitely yet to come.
No doubt about it. Next one for another teammate, Jameson Williams. What does he need to be able to take that next step to be that surefire number 2 wide receiver for you guys to really take it over the top?
Yeah, I mean, I think J-Mo, you watch his last few games with us, even the NFC Championship. He took off at that reverse that he had. I remember blocking for it. Like, I got to get my block because it's going to be huge. I think every play for me is I got to make my block. That's just the way I think. But I'm like, I got to get this block to even spring this play open. And so we all have to do our job. He gets the ball. I look back. I'm like, oh, this fool's gone. And then the dude comes from behind. I think it was a safety, almost tackles him. The ball's like super loose. I'm like, no, he's about to fumble. He puts his hand down, stays up, scores. That was, I think, one of the biggest plays for us all year, just because the time and point that was, getting the ball to start against the Niners, being able to score on that first drive with a big play like that. And, his big play ability, I think, is out the roof. He can make a big play in any second. So as a defense, you always have to, keep an eye on him because he might run past you in a split second. He might get a reverse, whatever it is. He might catch a hitch and go 80. So his big play ability is out this world. But he's only going to get better with time. He, came off a knee injury from his rookie, barely played. Second year, which was last year. He's only gotten better. So I think him having finally no suspensions, nothing holding him back going into this year, it's going to be big for him. And I can't wait. I can't wait to see what he does.
Nah, it's going to be fire for sure. And my last question for you. If I said to you, always shoot for the stars because the bottom is overcrowded, what does that mean to you?
That sounds like my dad. That's something, he told us growing up. You gotta aim high, because if you aim high, you might miss low. But if you aim a little low, you might miss too low and be with everyone else. So that's just what that tells me is, aim for the top, aim for, the best of the best. Because like you said, the bottom's overcrowded. That's something he always told us growing up. And I feel like that's what I've done. That's always my goals are always really high. Because I feel like, when I was growing up, I wanted A's in every class I had. I wanted A's, A pluses. And if I didn't, I probably got a B plus, B minus, whatever it was. But if I was just shooting for some B's or whatever it was, I might have been content with a C or maybe a C minus. So for me, it's always shooting as high as I can. And then if I miss, I'm going to miss below it, but below it might be above everyone else still. So that's something my dad always told us. And definitely, when you just said that just now, it reminded me of my dad.
Nah, this is more of a statement, not a question, but I watched like an entire documentary on you and your family. Oftentimes I feel like Black fathers are they're put out there in a way that's extremely negative. But to have a dad like yours and John Brown, who was not just supportive, who wasn't just there, but he was also active, how do you think that impacts our community to be able to see something like that with you and your brothers all going D1, all being successful, 2 in the NFL? What do you think that means?
I think it means, I feel like my dad growing up, there was, for us, he had 3 boys that were doing it. We were in high school, we all went D1, 2 in the league. There was always something that someone wanted to say negative about him. He's too tough on his kids. He's doing this, doing that. He's trying to control them, this, that, and the other. But at the end of the day, from, you know, me being his son, it was him looking out for us in any way that he can. And I think, you know, a lot of fathers, like you said, especially black fathers, get that rep of they're too controlling, they're too tough, they're too this or they're too that. But at the end of the day, it's, you know, it's their kids. They can really do what they want with their kids. They can send them to the school that they want. For me, I feel like fathers, for the most part, they know what's best for their kids.
Yeah.
They're around them the most. They know how they act. They know what they need. And that was him for us. He knew exactly, you know, how we were as players, as humans, what we needed at that point of our lives. And he directed us and guided us in ways I feel like, you know, other people couldn't have. And I'm so glad that he was there for me and for us, for my two brothers. And like I said, without him, I don't think I would be talking to you right now today. So it's definitely, it's amazing.
Nah, man, that's I'm glad that you shared that. I noticed it. I always study for these conversations because I want to be able to tell your story the right way. So I hope in all my coverage, whether it's here or on ESPN, you feel like I'm truly tapping into who you are and the player that you are. Your dad set a plan, man, and you are walking in it. I'm excited for you. I'm excited to see you get paid because you deserve it. And whatever they pay you, it ain't enough. So just know that I really appreciate your game. Appreciate you coming on the show and sharing all these gems with us and the fans. All right, people, that's a wrap for episode 31 of RG3 and The Ones. I want to give a huge shout out to Amon-Ra for coming on the show, having a great conversation, and dropping some gems on you guys. Hopefully you can take one thing from what you heard him talk about, you can apply it to your own life, and become the one in that bad boy as well. I want to give a huge shout out to my producers. Shout out to Jesse. Appreciate you taking care of us on the editing side while Brady is on vacation. And also Whispering Oaks Productions and everyone on the production team. This show is not possible without all the hard work and dedication of all the people who may or may not be on vacation right now. As I've had to say many, many times before, RG3 and The Ones is a Way Sports and Entertainment original presented by PrizePicks. I'm so happy to be here with you guys, and I hope that you will continue to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on social media at RG3 and The Ones, and be able to listen to us wherever you get your podcasts. You guys already know, before we bounce, I'd like to give you some words of encouragement. So I want you to know this. If God brought you to it, he will bring you through it. There is no adversity out there that you are going to face that you cannot overcome. Have faith, work hard, and trust in God, and you will get exactly what you're looking for. See you guys next week. Peace out.